Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estella.
And welcome to
Cafecito.
And crime. I'm like, wait, should I let her keep going? Or I don't know what came over her.
Cafecito and crime.
Cafecito and crime. Anyway, so today I will be taking over today's story. Thank you very much. Chillos. First of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I just got off of work.
Yeah, I feel like you just say how you doing today. It's just automatic to say, oh, I'm doing good.
No, I always
fine.
tell you how I'm doing. So like a lot of the times they're like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm okay. I really am just okay. Like I'm not. If I'll tell you I'm doing good, then I'm doing good.
So you like, I'm fine, I'm good,
I'm fine,
okay.
I'm good, I'm okay.
Okay, I just want to tell you, I feel like I'm coming down with something, and I feel like I've already been taking all the over-the-counter
Why?
medicine. I don't want to feel bad for tomorrow.
No, but why are you getting sick? What do you feel?
My throat is scratching. I feel tired. I want to go to sleep.
And
I am nasally.
you were with a lot of people this weekend, weren't you? On Sunday?
No,
There's a lot of people?
it's yeah, but it's not like you're like on top of each other.
No, and it was outside, right?
Yeah, and everything.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it's not like but yeah, I was like, but no, I felt like this since last week. But I was fine, and I just took over the counter medicine, and I was fine. But today is like, I could tell,
Yeah.
like no me quería parar and stuff. But I was like, it's fine. But I feel fine.
You just said you're trying to ignore it.
Yeah,
You feel okay.
I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's all you can say. Don't say you're good when you're not good.
Yeah.
Just if you're okay, and that's okay to be okay.
Or you can say,
You know
I
what?
could be better.
Yeah, or you could say, yeah, I'm not having a good day.
Well, is it not a good day, or it's just like not a good moment?
I'm just saying, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or I'm not having a good day overall.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have to elaborate after that?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
Do
don't know.
people really want to know? It's just a courtesy to ask, but you don't really want to know.
I do. I want to know how you're doing, for real.
You know what I noticed?
What?
When somebody asks me, or like, hey, how was your weekend? Or something like that, like at work or anywhere else, I'm like, good. And I never ask, how's your weekend? I never ask.
No, I do.
I don't.
How are you? I'm doing good. How you been? I'm okay. That's it.
No, but that's different. I'm like, when they ask me that, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. How are you? Good. Okay, blah, blah. But when somebody I just recall that cuando me preguntan, hey, how's your weekend? I'm like, good. What'd you do? Not much. And then,
Yeah.
and then I just walk away.
Well, yeah, that sounds like something you would fucking do. So why am I not surprised? I am not. On that note.
I'm not trying to be a bitch. It's just like, I don't want to say that I don't care, but I have to go by.
Like you have things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I like talking. You know, I like talking to people. Anyway,
And where'd that come from? Anyway, so back to the thing.
Back to the thing. Anyway, so because I asked you how your day was.
Okay.
So I hope everyone is having a good day.
And I hope that you are not feeling under the weather.
No, not under the weather, maybe over the weather. And I hope that anyway. Point of the story is that we're moving on. Today's story will be brought to you by me.
Barbie.
So actually, we are actually going to the motherland. We're going down to Mexico this time.
Oh, Mexico? Okay.
So we're going to go to La Ciudad de las Montañas, but at least really close.
Okay.
So we're not going to Monterrey himself or herself.
Itself?
We're going to go somewhere that's really close. So we're going today to Santa Catarina, Nuevo León.
Okay.
Which is a part of the metropolitan area of Monterrey.
Okay.
So if you would like to come with us to Santa Catarina, go ahead and grab your cafecitos.
And take a big old gulp.
And let's get started. Like I said, we're going to Santa Catarina. It kind of took me by surprise because ya cuando iba a acabar el actual case yesterday, estaba lloviendo que decía Santa Catarina. And I'm like, wait, so Santa Catarina is not in Monterrey. It's in Nuevo León. So Monterrey and Santa Catarina are so totally different.
Yeah.
And I when I was doing this, I wasn't paying attention. But once I kept researching, then I was like, okay, then I can't do a fun fact, random, interesting fact from Monterrey because it's not in Monterrey. It's in Santa Catarina. So the random, fun, interesting, fun fact of Santa Catarina is that its name is of the city comes from the Catholic Saint Catherine of Alexandria. The city Santa Catarina was not founded in a traditional manner. At the beginning, it was only a resting point for travelers between Monterrey and Saltillo. The city is about 8.7 miles away from the capital of Nuevo León, which is Monterrey.
Yeah.
And actually, this was really interesting. I had no idea, but during the French invasion of Mexico in the second half of the 19th century, the president Benito Juárez spent some time in Santa Catarina while traveling to Monterrey. And it was during this time that he elevated the status. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh.
So he elevated the status of
Santa Catarina
to a village. So it was like Village Santa Catarina. But the village was actually maintained until 1979.
Oh, shit, apenas.
Yeah, apenas. When the state government elected its status and then elevated it a little bit more to city.
He went from a ranchito, I guess?
Yeah,
ranchito to a village? Or is a village a ranchito?
Village is a ranchito.
And then up to city. Okay.
So it's Santa Catarina City. Okay. According to wiki1.com. That's where I found the information. So I heard this story on TikTok. It was very intriguing to me. I don't know why when I heard it, it just me llamó la atención. And I was like, I really want to do a story on this because we had already talked about doing a lot of stories in regards, but it's really hard to do stories from Mexico because, like, to be honest, you can find a case over there and then next thing you know, like it shuts off. And then all of the news outlets tell you lo mismo. Nunca te dan como más información or they never follow up on it, unfortunately. So casi todo lo que vi bastante porque I read a lot and I was on the news and everything. Mucho de eso lo encontré, pero era lo mismo. Like no estaba volviendo a decir, repitiéndose.
Yeah.
So this is where I found out about her name was, because we're going to be speaking of Jhoana Abigail Ligues. She was a 24-year-old preschool teacher in the Molino. It's called El Molino neighborhood of the Municipal of Santa Catarina, or La Colonia en Santa Catarina. Se llamaba El Molino, o se llama. She graduated in 2019 from Escuela Normal Miguel F. Martínez de Monterrey with her certificate or degree as a teacher.
Okay.
So she actually worked at this little preschool and she was apparently, which what I found out was very well loved by the kids. And, you know, all the kids were looking forward to
her class.
Yeah. So her body was found in her home. She was beaten. Very severely beaten, mostly on her neck and on her face. And she was found by her family. She was laying on her bed, face up, boca arriba. Y ahí la encontraron.
¿En tu cama?
En su cama. We're going to talk about that. By what I was able to put together, this is bits and pieces of what I found. And it's, like I said, once again, it's kind of sad, pero a la misma vez, it's good to bring these things out también porque we only think kind of in one area and we have to think outside the box. It was really hard for me because a lot of the things in Spanish, like yo sé hablar español y me considero muy bien para hablar español, pero a lot of the times the words that they were using, I was like, wait, what does that mean? And so I had to Google it. Are you talking about
like proper Spanish or como?
Like proper Spanish or just Spanish like in the news and that kind of thing. So on August 31st, 2022, her family went to her phone, well, let me say that again.
To her phone.
On August 31st, 2022, her family went to her home and that's where they found her in her bed. Her parents had gone to look for her because it had been a few days que no, they had not heard about her and she had not shown up to the school where she was giving classes. So actually, in one of the stories that I found, parece que that date, the day that she was missing, a few days before, she had called the school and said, no voy a ir porque she was in an accident. She said she was in an accident, but they never were able to corroborate that. So they were kind of just,
don't know
it
if
was
that
up
was,
in the air. Yeah.
Okay.
Johanna's neighbors, because this is the only people that have actually talked about Jhoana have been her neighbors. Her parents have not come out to speak about her. Like they're very like private about it. They haven't really said much. But we did, I'll get to that. So the neighbors remember that they heard Jhoana and her husband, Jesus Antonio N, because they don't say his whole last name, aka Tony, who some sources say that he was 22. But then,
real like side story. You said Tony, but the name Tony is in my case next.
Nah, yeah, that's crazy. Oh, it's meant to be. So some sources say he was 22, and some say he was 26.
So how old was she?
24.
Okay.
And so he was going either he was going to school to become an ophthalmologist, or he was already an ophthalmologist.
Maybe he was 26 then.
Then that's what I think so too. But
if he was going to school for it, he could have been 22.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Sabe. Or maybe you could be 26 and going to school.
I mean, you can just pero
he was
multiple sources said that he was an ophthalmologist.
Okay.
So maybe he was already an ophthalmologist. I don't know.
But something involving ophthalmology.
So a few days before, the neighbors had heard them screaming and fighting. The couple lived alone in their home, so there wasn't anybody there. Yeah.
Question. Do we know if this was like a common occurrence, que se pelearan?
I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Cool. The couple, like I said, lived alone, and the reports say that one of the neighbors did call the victim's aunt, la tía de una de la muchacha de Abigail, de Jhoana, and to tell them that, hey, there's something going on. Your niece is not okay. She's in danger. You need to come and check on her.
Like all we hear is them arguing all the time.
Most of the time. No, around the time of the thing.
Okay.
And I'm going to explain why. So then they met up with Joanna's parents. La señora, some people say it was her tía, once again. Other people say it was her sister, but I'm going to say tía because that's the one that I found most. And they met there. Y cuando llegaron, they had called Joanna's mother-in-law because Joanna's mother-in-law had the key to the house.
Okay.
So le hablaron a la suegra, hey, can you come and open the house? Because we need to check on Joanna. She's not answering our calls or our, knocks or whatever.
She's not showing up to work.
Who knows? But the thing is, somebody opened the door and they went in. Johana lived in the same street as her parents.
Okay.
So they were in the same street. Her mom, when she had already went before to knock on the door, y no le había contestado. Her or her husband. So she's like, that's kind of weird que ninguno de los dos, right? Mm-hmm. So they contacted once again Antonio's mom and she came and opened the door. So when they first walked in, estaba todo oscuro. Porque at this time it was around 7:35 en la noche.
Okay.
Para de aquí que they contacted the mom, de aquí que they found out something was wrong, whatever. Yeah. And when they walked into the room, they find their daughter. So estaba Jhoana boca arriba, once I said before, y estaba muy golpeada de su cara, like everywhere all over her face, mostly her neck and her chest area. And they did call 911. The dad did say a few words at one point y dice que la mamá de Antonio, instead of saying, oh, I'm so sorry or whatever, all she said was like, andaba bien drogado.
Let's take a quick break.
Persons of Interest is back, and it's bigger than ever.
That scream will echo in my head for many years.
Taser! Taser! He's going to shoot!
Oi! Shot fired! Shots fired!
Stay out! You got a gun on you!
He had the perfect aim.
I am absolutely stressed at that point. I have no idea where my officers are.
Persons of Interest available everywhere you get your podcasts.
Oh, so we're just going straight to it was her husband?
Yes.
Straight up.
It was her husband.
Okay.
And
everybody realizes this, or the mom is the only one that...
No, well, everybody... Well, let me tell.
Okay.
So at around 7:35, the mom dice eso. Like I said, they called the police and the ambulance came, EMS, y la fueron a ver. Y lo único que fueron basically is to tell the family that she was deceased.
Deceased and to pick up
and
her.
Apparently she had been deceased for a little bit. Not many days, but
a couple
some
at
days.
least.
Yeah. Mostly the wounds that they were visible were, like I said, on her face and on her neck. They were just devastated. They couldn't believe it. They were like, they didn't know what to do.
I mean, it's one thing que te digan, hey, your daughter has passed away or something, pero like que tú la encuentres. Yeah. And that's like, you just, I don't know if is that better or worse? I don't know. To be honest, me thinking as a mom, you give away your daughter to someone that you think is going to take care of them like you would take care of them. Y para que, for them to, like, for you to know that it was him, or I don't know. Anyway. Y luego que tú la encuentres.
Y luego que la encuentres, like, no. So her family stated that they were sure that it was him. Like, they didn't question it. Mm-hmm. Why didn't question? I don't know. I don't know if maybe they knew that something was going on, but they...
I mean, obviously, and it's... No encuentras a ninguno de los dos.
They lived alone.
That's what I was about to say.
El carro de Jhoana was not there. Not only that, there was particular things that were missing in the house as well.
Obviously, y también como dicen, cuando algo le pasa a either partner, is usually the spouse that's the first suspect.
Yeah. So Joanna's dad, como te digo, sí, he said a few words and he said que, and I quote, ahí estaba mi hija, ahí en la casa, mero atrás en la casa, golpeada, me la mató a chingadazos, end quote. Basically saying my daughter was there, she was laying down. He basically said he beat the shit out of her.
To death.
To death. That's what he said. So her husband, once again, was a prime suspect, and some reports state that he was known to use illegal substances. And apparently, from what they learned, by what his mom said, he was a drug addict. And a week before, he had been in rehab.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess it didn't work.
I guess it didn't work
out for him.
It didn't work out very well. So when they asked the dad, you know, usted que si sabía or algo, he's like, nosotros no teníamos idea que he would do drugs. They had no idea that he even did drugs. I guess this is something that Jhoana kept from her parents. I don't know. So it had been a week since he had been in the rehab. The Santa Catarina police set out to look for Jesus Antonio and bring him in for questioning, you know, because where the hell did you go?
Yeah. Or are we thinking by this point, well, no, you said that he was the main suspect, and it's not like they were thinking he was in danger. Maybe we need to find him too. Or?
I honestly could not find any information on how. I'm pretty sure that there were like maybe the neighbors como habían oído que se estaban peleando or whatever.
I mean, I'm sure there was more to the investigation that led them to
think that it was him.
That it was him, right? Or either way, they just needed to find him to figure out what happened.
So apparently, he had taken some money that Jhoana had in the home. And that she had saved, and he had also taken her car.
So her car was gone. He was gone.
And the money. Yeah. So while the investigators started to look for Jesus Antonio, they did find out the couple had only been married for 5 months.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that they'd been together for years.
No.
Well, I'm sure they were together for years, but married.
So they had gotten married in April of the same year.
2022?
Mm-hmm. So they got married in April, and she died in August 31st.
Wow.
Yeah. But they had been knowing each other for a long, long time.
Okay.
So they grew up on the same street, once again, in La Colonia. And then one of the neighbors was like, no, ellos se conocían desde chiquitos. And they were
they
like,
grew up
together. Like, since when? And he's like, no, desde que estaban chamacos, you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman gave an interview, and he was like, no, pues she seemed like she was really quiet, and she was very
kept to herself.
So they started to use the word el femicidio. So el femicidio, and which translated into femicide. And her family assured that the young woman had suffered violence from her partner, to which attribute to allegedly the consumption of the psychochaotic or psychoactive substances. Basically, because he was a drug addict, they were almost sure that they had some sort of abuse or violence. She, like I said, she was found with a lot of hematomas on her body. So we don't know if they were early on. Was it something that just happened? It was just a lot. From the beating that she had received from her husband, where she eventually lost her life, excuse me. And so I want to talk about a little bit about femicidio or femicide. So according to Google, it is a hate crime, which is broadly defined as the intentional killing of a woman or a girl because they are female. Mm-hmm. The weird part about this is the fact that once again, everybody, you know, as it is in many cases, when they are online, todo se ve bien bonito. Like, literally, she has pictures of them there. She's so beautiful. She has pictures of their wedding. I mean, like, everything was just so perfect.
Or it looked like it.
Yeah. So they don't know if maybe this wasn't the first time that she had gotten abused or hit or whatever, because nobody had ever actually gone to the police. So even when they were looking for him, they're like, there's no evidence that this has happened before. So because of the fact that she did not go to the police beforehand,
if it did,
allegedly, if at this point they don't know that it was him yet, they're just allegedly saying that it was him.
It's just pointing in that direction.
But I'm telling you, as soon as everything started coming out on the news, everybody's like, femicide. He killed her for femicide, blah, blah, blah. One of the particular wedding pictures that came out of her and him together, this is the one that they used on social media. because
and the news también, or
and
just
the
social
news and
media?
this is the one that went viral, and that's how I ended up finding them on TikTok because of the picture. She was actually a part of a lot of the groups that were feminist. So once that went out, the feminist group, they actually took care of that. They were like, no, we're going to help our girl, basically. So they started putting the picture out there. Si saben, like they would call him a perro and shit. Like, si saben dónde está este perro, like, they're looking for him, he's on the loose, blah, blah, blah. And so it didn't take long for them to actually find him because of all the social media attention that this caused.
Do you have the picture?
Yeah. So I'm going to show it to Stella. And it's so sad because she's so beautiful. Like, I just don't understand why, and then I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But a lot of this is the biggest one. This is the one that actually made her story viral.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the picture is them kissing and she's in her white dress.
It's her wedding dress is beautiful.
She's beautiful. Yeah. Like it's so sad at 24 for her to have died, especially the way she died. And, for the apparent reason that still is unclear.
And they both, like you said, their wedding pictures look lovely.
Yeah.
Like they just had a ball and
they look so handsome and so like,
just ready to start their life as a married couple.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know why I completely imagined them completely different.
No. And they like literally, she is gorgeous and they're just, I think that they're, I don't know, but
they could be in a magazine.
Everywhere.
On Pinterest.
On Pinterest. Like, no, definitely. Yes. Like everywhere you look, that's the picture that made her. And not only that, but because in her social media, she did have a lot of the purple, because in the feministas, parte del feminicida is the purple sign or the purple color. So whenever it was time, I think it's in May or something, the semana or something like that, she changed her profile picture and all of that stuff. So she was active in that. So that is one of the reasons that I think it caused attention to the feminist group, and they were able to find him because of that.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that I read, and I don't know if it's true or not, but they were like, the social media forced the Santa Catarina police to find him, basically, because they were like,
probably
if you're not finding him,
we're gonna find him. Yeah. They kind of did the work for them in a way,
basically.
And I feel like that's one of the good things of social media that can help, because I know it can be kind of like toxic and shit, pero like when it's for a good cause like this, like that para algo sirve, you know?
I mean, they were like, if you see this motherfucker, basically
beat his ass and hold him until the police get there.
So he was located on September the 2nd of 2022, but literally there's no details of where he was found. I did find one article or one piece of information that allegedly he did take that money that he had and that he
lo
robó. And that he was found in a motel with a gun that supposedly he was going to kill himself, but of course he didn't because he's a fucking coward. You say that you're tough and shit, but then when it comes to killing yourself, you're not going to do it. So of course, I don't know if it's true or not, but this is one of the things that I found about it. Apparently, when they started investigating the home, they found out that he had actually lived a few days with the body already dead. He actually murdered her, and then he, I guess, didn't know what to do based on the timeline of the neighbors when they were fighting and screaming and all of this stuff. And when she was found, she had been dead for a few days.
Do you think that maybe because he was like on drugs, he just probably was on drugs the whole time, and then
to be honest, when I read the next part, I'll tell you, or when I go over the next part, yes, I'll tell you a little bit about what I think. I mean, first of all, it wasn't necessary. And no matter what you do, was it a femicide? I don't know. Like like we said, there's no actual record saying that she had been through violence before, but there's not even supposed to be a one time. There's not even supposed to be. Like, why? So according to another source that I found, it seemed like Jhoana had gone to her classroom to decorate because her students were going to come back to school because it was the end of summer, and that she was going to decorate everything, kind of give them a warm welcome. And she was just excited to start classes. So they actually have an interview with the principal of the school. And she said she was really excited to start. She'd met her, and that she was like, her ideas were very innovative, and the kids were, happy to be in her class. She also said that the same day, once again, I go back to the same thing. Apparently, according to the principal, she said that she had received a phone call a few days prior to when she didn't come into work, telling her, I had an accident, I cannot come in.
But we think that was legit, right? Like, we think that then she wasn't going through anything at home. She really did have an accident, and that's why she couldn't come in.
They think that, based on what I read, they think that he probably
had already hit her. And she couldn't go in because of the bruises.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then she just never went back.
She never went back, yeah.
Okay.
So then the same day, she comes home and her husband's out of control. He's furious.
She comes home from where?
She comes home from decorating the school.
Yeah.
And then she was so excited or whatever. And that same day she came home and her husband was just out of control and furious, and he wanted money. He wanted money to buy more drugs. I don't know if he was drugged. I don't know. Like I said, this is all alleged because there was not really much out there to go by based on. So he didn't have any money because he didn't have a job. They would only, apparently, like I said, I don't know if maybe he was a student. I don't know. But the only money that they had was her money that she was making from
being a teacher.
And I mean, at that, it's just not.
It's never enough.
Never enough, you know?
I mean, they don't get paid what they should.
Yeah.
Getting paid.
So Antonio or Jesus Antonio beat his wife Jhoana because allegedly because according to him, she didn't want to give him the money. And when she was getting attacked by her husband, it appears that she did try to ask for help, but Jesus Antonio did stop her before she was able to get to a phone scream and stuff like that.
Scream loud enough, I guess.
Yeah. So he did flee the scene, like I talked to you guys before, with the money and the car, and he just didn't care about the fact that he had just killed his wife of 5 months and the person that he grew up with, basically. Like, you knew her forever. You gave no fucks. He did try to flee, and they did catch him, apparently, trying to flee. How do they know he was headed North Mexico? He was headed North Mexico, but they don't know. They don't explain it.
But this means that he wasn't found in the hotel trying to kill himself then, right?
And we don't, that's what I said, because like some people say that he was apprehended for another reason. Some people say he was doing crimes. Like, I don't know. It's to be honest. I mean, it could be either or, but I mean, it makes sense that because he wasn't too far from the house. He was in Santa Catarina. He was just in a motel. I do believe that, but maybe he was like, oh, I was headed out that way, or I don't know. I mean, at this point, we can just speculate because, like I said, there's nothing concrete. Not only that, but he was arrested, like I said, but he was not arrested for the femicide of Johana. He was not. He was being charged for no related charge for resisting arrest.
Oh, yeah, because you can't arrest him if you don't have any evidence against.
And possession of a weapon.
Yeah. So that's just to kind of hold him first, I guess. And then,
so at this point, they put him in jail. Santa Catarina released a statement talking about how amazing the police was because they captured him, blah, blah, blah. You know how it is. And there's no more information on what he was doing. There was no information on where he was going. Like, there's nothing out there. I've looked everywhere. I promise you. Not only that, but he is in jail, like I said, and he has not been charged for
her murder
yet. Yeah.
As of right now. That you could find.
The prosecution kind of had something going, and they did release a statement, or not the prosecution. What are those people called? The prosecutor's office. Yeah. Uh-huh. So they released a statement, and it kind of gives a little bit of insight of what happened. It says the detainee allegedly hit the woman, wounded her with a knife on the right side of her chest.
Oh, so he stabbed her.
Yes. And then he caused the gas leak.
What?
In the house, which caused the death of the woman, whose body was found hours later.
So she died because of a gas leak, not
carbon
because
monoxide.
Not because of her injuries.
Nope. No.
Do you think she would have survived her injuries because he stabbed her? Or maybe she would have bled to death anyway.
She would have bled to death, yeah. And I mean, what I think is he beat her to a point where he thought she was dead, and then was like, oh shit, like what do I do with her body? And then kind of, you know.
Do you think maybe he stabbed her, but she didn't die? Yeah. And thought that maybe she was just going to bleed out, and then he just turned on the gas to kind of just let it take care.
To be honest, I was talking to my husband about that. I'm like, and I was like, was he trying to cover it up? But you stabbed her. Like, why were you? I mean, maybe he was on drugs. I don't know, to be honest. Well, obviously he was on drugs. So the prosecutor's office also indicated that the act was I can't say this word.
Are you talking about misogynistic?
Misogynistic. Because the person now being investigated carried out the act was, what is it? Word again?
Misogynistic.
Misogynistic because the person now being investigated carried out hateful behavior towards the victim for the fact that she was a woman, manifested in violent and in cruel acts, which he was able to achieve by using physical superiority that he had over the victim. As he also took advantage of the sentimental emotional trust of their relationship that existed between the two, since they were both husband and wife. And she was far from expecting to be attacked by the person who was supposed to take care of her. She was attacked without compassion, and that behavior concluded in the death of the victim for reasons of gender, end quote. But they did release something about her autopsy. So it says, according to the autopsy, the preschool teacher died from acute respiratory failure, which is the carbon, is secondary to an interthoracic injury, secondary to penetrating puncture wound to the chest, and carbon monoxide poisoning. So he stabbed her, and then on top of that, she died from the carbon monoxide. Jhoana was a big supporter against femicide, and she posted a lot of pictures of herself and quotes in support. Like I said before, she was big on social media, and she was always posting they were at the movies and they were eating dinner and that kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
She was one of those people that, you don't like, there's some people that post ugly shit because you think it's funny. And so then, sometimes I'll post like something that I think is funny, like, I don't know, something on the street or something, or a sticker or something. And then there's some people that post like themselves or like portraits and stuff.
I'm like, why'd you call it ugly?
No, not like ugly, but
not like aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, like I'll just take a picture of this water bottle. Like, and then there's some people that actually think about it, and they, that's what I was trying to say. Maybe I didn't mean ugly.
Ugly.
So she was one of those people. Like, she was the one that would sit a certain, like, actually pose for her pictures, and like I said, she was in very big support of the fight against femicide, unfortunately, and ironically, she was one of the women that needs justice right now. So at this moment in time, they're still fighting for her justice. The Nuevo León Council and Citizen Security and Justice Observatory revealed that femicide was the crime that grew the most in the second quarter of the year compared to the same period of time in 2021, to the point of skyrocketing by 230%.
Oh my God.
The highest rate in the last 5 years. Let's not forget that in Mexico, 7 out of 10 women have experienced some situation of violence throughout their lives, according to the National Institute of Geography and Statistics. It's called the INGE. I thought that was funny. And a report issued recently, situations of physical violence and psychological and sexual within families in Mexico have presented an increase of 11.4%. Nadine Guzman, I don't know how to say that, sorry, president of the National Women's Institute, said that Nuevo León leads the number of femicides throughout the country, above entities with higher population concentrations such as Mexico City and the state of Mexico. Wow. So we're talking about Nuevo León it's even higher than that. So obviously the problem is not just that exists in Mexico, in our motherland, but also in Latin America in general, like everywhere that
I think a lot of them in too, like in I think Africa is really too on femicide, if I'm not mistaken. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, they don't care.
They don't care.
Like the authorities or men, they're like, oh.
So we're hoping that obviously Johana gets her justice and her killer gets, if it isn't him, whoever it is, gets justice. And deserves whatever, gets what they deserve. In one of her many posts that she wrote to her husband, she did write a lot to him, like, I love you and that kind of stuff. This one, it broke my heart and the reason that I'm going to end this with this quote is because I feel like it just speaks louder than anything. She said, I'm going to read in Spanish, Vengo del futuro para decirte que estamos juntos y que lo que hemos pasado ha valido cada esfuerzo. So in English, it translates to, I come from the future to tell you that we were together and that it has been worth every effort.
That's so crazy. So what I want to know is, was this the first time?
Based on like I said,
I'm trying to think, based on what you said, was the first time that he hit her and maybe he was just so like out of his mind on drugs that he le ganó,
let's be honest, his mom kind of knew que era un drogadicto because of her comment when she walked in. Estaba bien drogado, first of all. And it's like, dude, they're a child, and that's the first thing that comes out of your mouth. Like, sometimes we can be a little...
I mean, don't make excuses for your son.
Yeah, exactly. First of all. Second of all, the Santa Catarina police said that there was no records of anybody.
But it doesn't mean that he didn't do anything.
But it doesn't mean... Yeah, exactly.
But then, like you were saying, she's very... I guess her social media was very curated to, nice, like cute pictures, and I love my husband, and, we're married, and it sounds like she was in love with him. So I wonder if like she still posted that kind of stuff despite of if he still, domestic violence was going on in the house. Yeah. I wonder.
Well, and then I also wonder, why was she such a big advocate? Yes, I am for justice for women, but she was not only an advocate for feminism, because I feel like I'm a pretty big advocate, but I don't like, why is she so involved with the femicidio? Was it something that she was going through and she wanted for people?
And she could feel close. She could feel...
Or she could understand. Like, I to be honest, like I said, this case really set on me really heavy because I feel like there are just so many questions that need to be answered. Y pues no hay. Like, we don't know.
And it's... Like, she deserves justice, and her family deserves to find out what happened to find out really what happened to their daughter. Yeah. Why? It's not going to bring her back. I understand that, but...
And that's what they said. A lot of the posts that the feminist group are posting, or, and like trying to make sure that he's getting, justice. They say, we know she's not coming back. Yeah. Like, that's not bringing us back. Pero por lo menos, we know that our authorities are actually getting justice for the crime. Not only that, but the what do you call it, epidemic of this that's going on in Nuevo León, like, or
just in Mexico in general.
Just to see that someone
I know Ciudad Juárez is really big, and our very first case, remember Ruby? Mm-hmm. And su mom that got justice for her, and she ended up getting killed just because she was trying to get justice for her daughter. Yeah. So
like, it just everywhere, like Latin America, like I was reading Peru, like Costa Rica, like all of these places that it's not. And why is it Latin America? Like, why? But like you said, also in Africa, and it's like there has to be. And I think that's the biggest thing of why it kind of resonated with me, was the fact that, like, we need this to stop. Like, there's no reason for a woman to get killed just because she's a woman, or just because
and you're the lazy fuck that doesn't have a job.
Because you were in a fucking rehab for a week. Apparently it didn't help because now your ass is, still out.
But then I don't know. It's just so many questions. So
that's the story of La Muerte de Jhoana Abigail Ligues.
Is Ligues her married name, or that's her maiden name?
That's her maiden name, because a él lo llaman José.
Oh, well, you said that the last name
Jesus Antonio N. That's what they call him. Everywhere they called him that. I don't know if that's something that happens in Mexico, but what are you protecting? Like, he needs his ass whooped. But anyway, I don't know. But when I was researching this, I found a story of a girl que se llama Frida Garcia.
Okay.
And so the parents of Frida and the parents of Johana, they were both fighting because this young lady, she's 24 as well, como Johana, and she was killed in Michoacán.
Okay.
So apparently she went to a party with a friend of hers, or un partner or guy or something. Y while she was at the party, she tried killing herself.
That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying.
But she ended up dying. But she's dead.
She's dead. She's dead at 24. And it so happens que la persona que le hizo eso is the son of a big government official in Michoacán.
So it's like a cover-up, allegedly.
Basically.
Okay.
And then there's like this whole thing about how the actual people, the coroner was like, there's no way, the way that the bullet entered and all this other stuff.
It wasn't
like
suicide.
It was not suicide. And why
I don't
would
think-
you go to a party to commit suicide?
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
So, I mean, we could go on and on. There's so many cases like this out there. And I just wanted to kind of just scratch the surface a little bit. Like I said, the whole thing of the femicidio was very scary to me. And why scary? Because I felt like, do I have enough? Am I going to do the person that this happened to justice? Like, I wanted to make sure that when I talk about it, I knew I wanted facts. Mm-hmm. But at one point I was just like, what? And I even talked to you about it. Like, I'm just going to do it. And it is what it is.
Yeah, you're like, you can only say, this is what I found. It's not 100% accurate. Because you can find it in one source, but another source is something different. There's never,
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of bring this matter up and, let's hope for justice for Jhoana Abigail, because there was no reason for her 24-year-old, like
her whole life ahead of her.
Her whole life.
She was like a teacher, que más quieres. She was beautiful.
Like she
had her family.
She had, her parents and like everything
going for her.
Can you imagine like going and finding your baby girl? Just, I can't.
And in that manner, she was brutally beaten.
So that's the story, or the muerte de Jhoana Abigail Ligues. So let us know what you think. If you would like, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. If you're listening to this, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. A lot of turkey.
Or has.
Or no turkey, because we're not big turkey eaters. But if you do, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
Just have good food.
Have good food. Yes.
If
I hope that your
celebrate.
bellies are full with anything, even if it isn't Thanksgiving food. And if you would like to, please follow us. You can follow us at
Cafecito and Crime Pod on Instagram.
Let us know what you think. And thank you so much for
everybody's
your
support.
Bye.